My message today is rainbows after storms. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. It's very appropriate that it's raining here in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, as I speak to you there in St. Petersburg, Russia, for the Youth International Economic Forum. And it is arguably raining all around the world at the same time, raining troubles and challenges and economic problems. We've got this global economic crisis in our backdrop. I keep saying this is not a recession, it's a reset. It's not a crisis of economics, it's a crisis of virtues and values. Around the world, we didn't treat in this crisis people like relationships, we treated them like transactions. We were focused on what do I have to get versus what do I have to give. We were focused on what we were against and not what we were for. We were focused on me and not really on we. I'm John Hope Bryant. I'm the founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Operation Hope, America's first nonprofit social investment bank, and a movement for civil rights, from civil rights to civil rights, to make free enterprise and capitalism actually relevant to the poor and to make it work for the poor. I'm also the author of the best-selling book, Love Leadership, The New Way to Lead in a Fear-Based World. And I serve on President Barack Obama's President's Advisory Council on Financial Capability. Before that, I served with President Bush as Vice Chairman of the President's Council on Financial Literacy. And before that, I advised President Bill Clinton. We have made financial literacy federal policy in the United States through our work at Operation Hope. But so the thing that started, so people see as a vision, it made real this sort of almost romanticized work of financial literacy today at the federal level. Started with a lot of gritty work at the local level. I think about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. a lot. My mentor, my hero is Ambassador Andrew Young, who was Dr. King's strategist in the civil rights movement, and he is now the global spokesman for Operation Hope. I think about all the people who marvel at Dr. King's speech, I Have a Dream, without recognizing that most of his speeches went unrecorded and unnoticed, but they are brilliant. Or that he gave the I Have a Dream speech countless times in front of countless audiences, sometimes with kids, young people, adults going to sleep, walking out when he was speaking. Or the Civil Rights Act or the Voting Rights Act, and how hard it was for him to get these pieces of legislation passed. Or the countless times over 12 years he was disrespected or dismissed or discounted. And as young people, young leaders, and I know I founded Operation Hope at 26, I started my first business at 10, that you're going to be discounted, discouraged, dismissed. You got to remember that first people will ignore you, then they will criticize you, and then you will win. First people will ignore you, then they will criticize you, and then you will win. We are in the face of a new movement right here. We have this global economic crisis in our backdrop. We've got this storm outside of my home and outside of our world. But we should not let a storm go to waste. We should understand that rainbows only follow storms. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. What are we going to do about this crisis, and how are we going to respond? This is not an economic crisis. It's a crisis of virtues and values. It's not a recession, it's a reset. And you are the reset leaders. You are the leaders for a new time and a new place and for a new generation. And let me be bold about this. When I talk about financial literacy, I'm talking about the language of money, the global language of money. I may not speak Russian. I may not speak Japanese fluently. I speak it conversationally. I may not speak Korean fluently. I may not speak Mandarin fluently. And you can go on and on and on in 200 countries in the world. But I speak the global language of money, and so do you. And that way, we're all multilingual. But you think about today, and you think about in the 20th century was really about democracy all around the world. And even there in Russia, this push for democracy, this push, then after that for capitalism and free enterprise and ownership and opportunity. I'll get back to the last piece. But the push in the 20th century all around the world for democracy. Well, how did people codify democracy in their hands? How did people grab that it was the right to vote? And that was the empowerment for the average person. Fast forward now to the 21st century. This is a global economic system we're living in. This is a global economic crisis. How does the average person empower somebody in this world? It's economics. It's financial services, and it's financial and economic empowerment. It's a hand up, not a hand out. It's converting check cashing and cash customers into banking customers, converting renters into owners, converting small business dreamers into small business owners and entrepreneurs, getting people a hand up and not a hand out, empowering them to do for themselves. I was with the World Bank president with my hero, Ambassador Andrew Young, and we were talking about the world economy, and Ambassador Young said to the president of the World Bank, you go around the world promoting free enterprise and capitalism, and that's a good thing. But who's teaching anybody the rules of free enterprise and capitalism? And at that moment, I realized what my mission was. I realized at that moment what my movement was going to be about, not just in the U.S., but all around the world, to make free enterprise and capitalism work for the poor, to teach a generation the rules of the game, to teach them the language of money, financial literacy, empowerment, to make sure that everybody has a bank account. If you don't understand the language of money today, and you don't have a bank account today, you're an economic slave. So it doesn't matter what color you are. In America, we'd say it doesn't matter whether you're white, black, red, brown, or yellow as an ethnic group. You want some more green, as in U.S. currency. And so this crisis has leveled the playing field. It's no longer about race in the world. It's about class. And we have an opportunity to reset. We have an opportunity to do it differently. You have an opportunity to do it differently. Also, jobs are not coming back in the way in which we are used to. So we're going to have to create entrepreneurs, self-employment projects, small business owners. They're in Russia, throughout Europe, and throughout the world. Certainly places like Africa, certainly places like Latin America, and in parts of Asia. We're going to have to create a generation of entrepreneurs and self-employment projects. Let's talk about Saudi Arabia and the Middle East area for a minute. It is estimated that within the next 10 years, we're going to need 100 million jobs in the Middle East alone for a population that's 60% under the age of 25. And the most dangerous person in the world is a person with no hope. So we can't talk about government jobs to solve that problem or corporate jobs to solve that problem. We're going to have to talk about a generation of entrepreneurs. And the root of entrepreneurship is the language of money and financial literacy. So here in Operation Hope in the U.S., we founded it after the Rodney King riots in 1992. I founded it when I was 26. Again, I started my first business when I was 10 years old, neighborhood candy house. And we were discounted. We were dismissed. We were told that we weren't serious. People were going to say that about you. But we never gave up. We never quit. I believe that an entrepreneur works 18 hours a day to keep from getting a job. I believe that success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. We started with a small vision and a $61,000 budget and a vision to change the world and to eradicate poverty with one employee. And people laughed at me. They dismissed me. They're going to laugh at you. They're going to dismiss you. It's okay. We kept at it, kept our head down, kept focused, stayed humble, worked hard. We didn't have the magic of compounded interest money because we were not born in wealth. So we had to have the magic of compounded hustle. Hard work on top of hard work, on top of persistence, on top of never giving up. Fast forward 19 years later, we created federal policy in this country on financial literacy. I served President Clinton as an advisor, President Bush as an advisor, served as vice chairman of the President's Advisory Council on Financial Literacy for President Bush. We created federal policy through an executive order inspired by our work. And now I proudly serve President Barack Obama on the President's Council on Financial Capability based on Operation Hope's work on the ground in 71 urban communities in America, in Haiti, in South Africa, and in Morocco. Our work with Global Dignity is a part of the Young Global Leaders in the World Economic Forum. My friend Crown Prince Haakon of Norway, Professor Pekka Himanen of Finland, and myself, we teach Global Dignity, a course in dignity in 50 countries. We'll be doing Global Dignity October 20th of this year, and we welcome our friends in Russia to join us, globaldignity.org. But Operation Hope as an entity has served 1.5 million people. We have 14,000 Hope Corps volunteers. We have 5,000 partners from government, community, and the private sector. We've directed and inspired $1 billion, more than $1 billion US, in private capital to empower poor and low wealth neighborhoods, creating emerging markets. We've educated of the 1.5 million, 500,000 young people and children in, of course, in dignity to real wealth. Because if I don't like me, I'm not going to like you. If I don't feel good about me, I'm never going to feel good about you. If I don't respect me, I'll never respect you. If I don't love me, I don't have a clue how to love you. And if I don't have a purpose in my life, I'm going to make your life a living hell. So real wealth starts with me. So wealth is inside out, where riches is outside on. Too many people are obsessed with money today and getting rich. We need to be talking about building wealth and figuring out what I have to give and not what I have to get, about what I'm for and not what I'm against, about how to empower we and not just about me. That's a big challenge for our generation and certainly your generation, to be about something larger and more important than ourselves. Operation Hope has always been about decreasing me and increasing others. And as a result of that, focusing on others, empowering others, producing real value for real people, bringing the government, community, the private sector together, and empowering people. We've been celebrated here and around the world. I just gave a speech for OECD, their 50th anniversary in Paris a couple weeks ago. I was in Norway just before that with my friend, the Crown Prince, for Global Dignity. I was invited, honored to be invited to speak with you today, with my schedule and other details did not permit, but I am there with you in spirit. And we are brothers and sisters, and we are global citizens. And this is our chance to change the world. I'll leave you with this. As we have built Hope Centers, Operational Financial Literacy Empowerment Centers around this country, as the young man who made this suit is a vision made real, came to us with a vision. We gave him a small loan, a lot of financial literacy training, entrepreneurship training, $35,000 loan, and just really belief and faith in him. The young man is now doing almost $1 million a year in revenue. He makes all of my suits. He's got 6 full-time employees. He's paying his taxes, raising his children, and has started his own nonprofit to teach young people entrepreneurship. So he's paying it forward. Whatever goes around comes around. Doing well and doing good, and doing well by doing good. So what I'm really saying is, this is not about you getting paid. It's not about you getting a good job. This is not about even a good conference there. This is about us changing the world. This is about starting a new movement from civil rights to civil rights, to empower people with a new way to lead in a fear-based world. What are you going to do with this opportunity? What are you going to do with your time there? What are you going to do when you leave there? What are you going to do for this great country called Russia? A leader in the international community. It's up to you. The Native American Indian says that every decision you make impacts 7 generations yet unborn. Think about that. Every decision you make impacts 7 generations yet unborn. We're living in a moment in time right now, a 1 in 100 year opportunity to change the world. And I'm counting on you to be part of that change and to make it real for real people, to do well and do good, to do well by doing good, and to be part of history. I believe in you. Let's make sure that we keep the promise of rainbows after storms. You cannot have a rainbow without a storm first. Take care. God bless. I'll see you soon in St. Petersburg.